and welcome to Perspectives on Faith. I'm your host, Metin Teke. This week, we are at a Rumi conference at George Washington University. Our guest today is Dr. Alan Godlas. He's a professor at University of Georgia, Athens, Georgia. Dr. Godlas, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
Your talk at the conference was about the transformation, the psychological and spiritual transformation that is evident in Rumi's poetry.
Yes.
What does Rumi mean by psychological and spiritual transformation?
Well, even though this is seems like a simple and straightforward question, in fact, to answer the question, it's important to look at a number of dimensions. And so what I did in my talk is that I looked at the transformations with regard to knowledge, spiritual and psychological transformations concerning knowledge, first of all. Second, transformations concerning reality or being with a capital B. Third, transformations concerning our humanness. Fourth, transformations concerning consciousness. Fifth, transformations concerning the purpose of life. And finally, transformations concerning method of fulfilling the purpose. And when I spoke about the transformations concerning reality or being, I also nuanced that. I further articulated that by saying that when I was going to address the issue of transformation at this level, I would also go into what Rumi, his vision for transformations concerning God, concerning the cosmos, and concerning the hereafter. So to talk about transformation in Rumi, one has to look at the various transformations in knowledge, which briefly echo Sufism's understanding of transformations of knowledge, these generally being spoken of as being from ignorance to the knowledge of certainty, this is to say, through hearing about what is appropriate to believe in or reading about it, and then third, from knowledge of certainty to the vision of certainty, where you actually experience
experiential
yes,
transformation.
Where you experience what other people have simply heard or read. And then the final stage is the reality of certainty, where the knowledge is even more direct than simply experiencing it from afar. Rather, the knowledge, direct knowledge occurs when the Sufi loses their identity in God, loses the sense of separateness in God. And the Sufis traditionally use the analogy of the moth going to the flame. In the beginning, you have a bunch of moths, and most of them are completely ignorant that light or a flame exists. They don't even know what it is. But a few moths start talking about it. So this is the stage of ignorance of knowledge to the stage of when you actually hear someone talking about what a fire is. The moths hear other moths talking about what a fire is, what is light. And this becomes, for those who have heard it, it becomes the knowledge of certainty, which is like when Muslims get together and they will speak about God's revelation, or they will share hadith of the Prophet, or even share Rumi's poetry. This is all knowledge of certainty. Then the moths, a few moths, actually start out trying to find a flame. And when they, in the course of their struggles, they find a flame and see it out there in the distance. as we say in English, the light at the end of the tunnel. When they see it, this is the vision of certainty. Or when the Sufi begins to feel the presence of God, when they begin to sense something beyond the material world. This is the moth seeing the flame. This is the vision of certainty. And then the final stage is when the moth dives into the flame. It's the final stage when the Sufi loses themselves. It frees themselves. I need to make a clarification here. The Sufi frees themselves from this compulsive state of being separate from God. This is not that the Sufi, after this point, it wouldn't be true to say that they no longer have the capacity to exist as you and I do, being aware of the separateness of things. Rather, they add to our normal perception of things. They add to that this ability to lose themselves in the presence of God, to become drowned in God's light, in God's love, just like the moths dive into the flame, although it's not just like it, because when moths dive into the flame, they don't come out. But Sufis, when they dive into the presence of God, they lose their egotism, they lose their self-centeredness to a degree, and they come out perfumed by the qualities of God. And because the qualities of God are infinite, there are infinite opportunities for Sufis to resist God, and consequently infinite opportunities to recognize that what one thought was one's own quality is in fact connected and related to God. So, although there are infinite numbers of ways for people to turn their back on God and to say, this is mine, for each one of those ways there is a doorway back to God, to recognize that this too, in some way, is connected to one of the divine names and attributes.
Why do we have to suffer, though? Someone would ask. Why pain?
Yes. I think in principle, one can. It's generally, Sufis speak about both, that God works with both a carrot and a stick approach. And there are a few people that love the taste of carrots so much they don't need the stick. They appreciate the benevolence of God so much that they're gifted with simply recognizing the beauty of God and the kindness of God, and so they don't. If they fall asleep in a condition of being separate from God, they quickly wake up and go to God.